First things first. How long have you two known each other?
Don't tell him. I don't know, a long time. We met we were young actors together. We met each other in the '60s. We were unknown young actors, and we met each other once, right?
Yeah.
And it was memorable because I knew someone who knew Bob, and he was coming down 14th Street. I was living on 14th between B and C.
I was running away from an armed robbery. And
Well, he had one of those kind of looks.
Right.
But he wasn't. He didn't rob anything. It was just he had that look. He was very charismatic. And I mentioned to my friend who knew him, and we introduced. I said, "Who is he?" Because he had a very interesting, sort of
way about him.
Gravitas. And I thought, he's an actor. And he said, he's a great actor.
It's being very nice.
Mm.
What else?
You guys are pretty good at this. You know that.
Talking about each other?
No.
Oh,
what you do for a living. What do you admire most about Al?
What is this? Some sort of what kind of?
This is your life.
This is your life show.
This is your life.
I remember that. Remember that thing? All of a sudden,
we've sort of grown up over the years, decades, and had similar types of situations in our lives and success and this and that. And so we've always gotten together over these years and talked and had a good talks and good times. When you can only really be talking to a person who understands what you're going through, and Al.
See, our careers, we both sort of happened around the same time, and maybe it was too the era back then. It was a different thing, being famous, and we were suddenly famous, even though we had been working for years before. And I think that has a way of affecting you, and somewhere, somehow, we knew it. And when we would meet occasionally, and we would commiserate, sort of.
Gotcha.
Deal with that.
You get a phone call, agent, or does Martin Scorsese call you? Who calls you to say, you want to be in this movie with all these heavyweights?
It was my agent, yeah. But I was lucky enough to get into Vinyl, which Marty directed. So I got into his Rolodex, and then he offered me this role. I had to put myself on tape for Vinyl, and then after that, I got offered this one.
He trusted you.
Yeah, which was scary for me, yeah.
But think about, that was a movie. This is
yes.
This big. And who else is in the cast with you? Did you have second thoughts, or did you think?
I'm having second thoughts now. Are you kidding? No, I was petrified. Plus, he had seen what I was going to do in Vinyl. This one, he was just trusting that I was going to be able to take on this character. And then, to work with these guys. Joe Pesci I had kind of known because we belonged to the same golf course, and I played in his charity, so I kind of was okay there. But, I was meeting these guys for the first time. And I'm scared meeting you for the first time.
Somehow I doubt that. On the other hand, Pesci kills in this movie.
Yeah.
Wow. Of the stuff that you see coming off the screen, that I knew about you, but he plays that so small, so great. Just phenomenal, I thought. I read the book.
Yeah.
What was it about the book that you said, this is a movie?
Well, Marty and I were working on another thing. We wanted to do something for years. We're trying to get something going. We wound up with this film that was another type of movie, kind of a genre hitman, older hitman type thing from the West Coast, and he was starting to show me these old movies like a Jean Gabin film in black and white, and saying getting me into like what style and how he was thinking of covering it and doing blah blah. And so I said, well, I've got to read this book that I spoke to Eric Roth with a couple of years ago, and it just came out, called I Heard You Paint Houses, because I think I can do some research. It'll apply to this character. And when I read it, I immediately got a hold of Marty, and I said, look, you got to look at this because I think this is, this is where we should go.
What a story.
Huh?
What a story.
Yeah, what a story, yeah.
Jesus. Did you have concerns, though, in terms of because this story starts with this guy in the Army, basically,
right,
in the book, and then to him, as it shows in the movie, in a nursing home. Yeah,
we must have started this whole process of the other films, say, and then getting into, it's 13 and a half years. I made a note on my script, and it was 2007. The book I read it in 2007, and as time went on, and it was going up and down, whether we're doing it or not doing it, or how, when everybody's available and so on. We would talk at first about doing younger guys for us, and then as time moved on and things changed technologically, and as Marty calls youthification and stuff and other things, it was done in other films, and I had done some too. That became more of a reality, and so we did some tests, and then I don't know what came first, the tests or Netflix. I think probably Netflix, and we could get the money to do it in this way. It became the way to go, and we were excited by that because Pablo Hellman of the ILM made us excited that this is a way we can do it the best that can be done to date, and that's where we were.
Just from your perspective, as you've seen it, how do you feel it turned out? Because people are being very complimentary about it.
It turned out pretty well.
Yeah, we believe those people.
Yeah.
It turned out pretty good.
Al, you've played real life characters before. Jimmy Hoffa, the opportunity comes along to play Jimmy Hoffa, and you think, I want to take a bite of this guy.
Well, sure. You always feel that because you have some familiarity with the character. But the truth be told, it's how and who you're doing it with, and especially with Bob and Scorsese. That's a big come up. And at the same time, though, no matter who you're playing, it's got to have a text. It's got to have a context and a good script and a good story and a character there. And what usually works is this character is fictionalized in a way. So it's Hoffa as a character, but it's again the interpretation that the writer has put there that's also there. So that helped a great deal when they did it.
My father was a Teamster. Jimmy Hoffa was like God in my house.
That's right.
He wore the buttons. My father wore the buttons.
He was a real icon back then, and one didn't know who he was really when we were young and stuff, but we did know about him. And apparently he was his close second to the president in terms of popularity. Yeah, he was. He said, "Who is this guy?" He always seemed like he was a little on the shady side or something, but he didn't know quite. So
I wonder about that.
Yeah. But he was very, he was a very interesting person. That they put him in jail for 5 years, and what did he do? He got he didn't like the way the prisoners were being treated. He went in there and he galvanized the group and did something about it. This was his nature.
He was an organizer.
He was an organizer.
Yeah,
started way back when he was 17.
The movie, to me, ends up being so much about loyalty, right? So interesting. And as you encounter, as you come in, Frank Sheeran's character is like, who's this guy? And you do your job. You find your way through the law to say, yeah, this guy can walk. But it's all about a loyalty to something.
That's one of the first things I ask him is, if they ask you for names, would you give them names? And he says no, and that's when I feel like I can introduce this guy to Russell, because he's saying all the right things, about that loyalty.
When you're in a scene with Al, do you ever have like an out-of-body sort of experience moment where you look at him and say, I like what he's doing there?
Well, we had some good scenes. There's some. My favorite one, the one where I'm trying to. Well, there's the one that we were in the hotel room, the pajama scene, I guess you'd call it. Then there's the one where I'm trying to convince him that he's got to back off, and that was fun for us to do.
It's fun with him because I've worked with him before. I know him well, and we've done things together. But you do anything with Bob, no matter what it is, say anything, he'll just go with it. He just takes it and rides with it. It's amazing to work with him.
It's cool that you guys have that kind of respect for each other. I mean, you had made a movie some years back that you weren't in love with.
No. We had in fact, we remind each other about this time. We had done the movie, we'd gone to Europe to go to premieres in London, Paris, and Spain. And one of those, it might have been London, I forget. The people were so great, and they were all out in the streets. It's kind of like what we had the other day in London. And we turned to each other, and I said, it'd be nice that we feel so these people are so great. They're all here for us. One day, hopefully, it'll be for something we really are going to be proud of. Nothing against the other movie. It was just a different thing. But this one, was special for us.
And you actually said to me too that one day we're going to do one that we feel good about.
Yeah.
I believed him.
In the world of stuff that you've done, where does this rate?
First. Oh, sorry. Sorry. I thought that was to me.
That was to all of you, of course.
Very good.
Well, we've done something that we all feel that we're lucky and proud to be a part of, and that it actually got made. And it's special. The fact that it's getting such a great reception is, you can't even imagine. That's a blessing. That's like great.
Yeah. Should it be in the movie theaters longer?
Well, I think so. I always think so, because movie, it's a different experience.
Yeah.
I think when you think of it, we rarely do think about it because it's so great, the Netflix and television in our home. But at the same time, when you're watching something on television, somewhere within you, you know that if you wanted to, you could stop it and take that break, or if you get a phone call and you leave it. And in the movie house, you're just there, and the experience, you are sort of prepared for another experience. You're there, and I think that changes when you're home.
Yeah.
Watching something, but it's still great that it's there and it happens and people. And we have that.
If any movie is an argument for keeping the theater experience alive, it's this type of movie.
Yeah.
To be on the big screen with an audience and to feel it together, with strangers, and yet it's also the fact that it's going to be on Netflix also means people who can't see it will be able to see it also.
Right.
Yeah,
there's it's trade-offs, I guess. Yeah. At the same time, as I saw it in a movie theater, in a darkened movie theater, that's where to me, that I'll watch it again on Netflix, but there was something really valuable about that to me. Sound is better, everything is better, the screen is gigantic, but
it's also the shared experience when there's those silences, and it's compelling, and it's heavy. And just to know that you don't know any of these people, but we're all feeling the same thing. I mean, that's part of it. It's part of
that's sort of going now.
Yeah.
I bet with some of the other films, the bigger, more popular films, the Marvel films, do have that experience. I mean, it's an event, the same way a sporting event is an event. They go to it with that. You're there.
You want to be there that first night, the second night, whatever it is, share that energy.
You don't want to watch a football game if you're alone in the stands. I mean, I just get that in.
Yes.
Yes. So the Sheeran book is so amazing to me. The writer who he works with, gets him to tell all these stories. How much of it do you believe?
I believe, to me, it's very credible. The way he speaks, the simplicity, the whole thing, that I know is real, all that stuff. It all adds up, and the way Hoffa disappears is very simple. The explanation for the Gallo thing is very simple. I believe it, and I don't. And I never believed that the mob was had anything to do with this Kennedy assassination. But I know there've been some books written that by reputable mob. This guy Regano, I think, wrote a book about some people about how there was a connection. I'm starting to think that maybe there could have been. I don't know. I'm suspicious, cynical of that, but at the same time,
the way it's portrayed in the film, it connects some dots that
exactly.
were not very well connected before.
And you don't know. But as far as Hoffa and all that, unless somebody comes up with a better explanation, fine. And it doesn't really matter. This is the story that we told.
Yeah.
And it's our interpretation of the book, if you will. And the time will tell.
Yeah. Sheeran was such an interesting character, though, just as he talks about his own life in the book. Yeah. He's a tough guy, off the streets, Philadelphia, goes into World War II. He spends this unbelievable, just stunning number of days in combat in World War II. And the plausibility of him coming out of that and basically hurting and killing people for a living, I bought that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And it was also with the character, too. It's the one daughter who just moves away from him early on. I mean, spiritually and emotionally.
Yeah.
Just detaches in that scene in the bowling alley. Remember that with Pesci and him and the little girl? That is something, and that is classic. And I think that too is a part of the emotion of this film. What I really found was that Scorsese, who actually said this, that he really saw this film in a world that he understood and he's done before, brilliantly, of course. But he said he saw it through a different lens, this one. And I think, if anything does, that is sort of what comes off. I remember when I saw it, I was feeling differently than I have felt in other films I've seen of this sort of nature. And one of the things someone said to me last night, actually, I haven't said this before, he said it was the closest they felt to this film being like a novel. Meaning the feeling you have after having absorbed it, or it casts a long shadow, is something else is going on. And that's why when it's over, there's a different kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And I didn't quite understand what it was, but I knew I was feeling things. And
huge amount of emotional content.
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
And I'm even thinking about you and going back to the loyalty thing again. It requires a lot of people to stand up in a certain way in order for it all to pull together, I guess. And I saw that from you for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, the reason I think people are responding to this movie in such a way is it's what, first of all, Marty has done this world before, but there's something deeper, there's something more. The depth of these characters is what you're seeing now. So yes, they're doing horrible things, but there's also a person in there, and the human side to this. People who do horrible things, they still go through things that we all do, the regret and making bad decisions, and I think people are responding to that.
Yeah.
And his experience, Scorsese's experience in life, and what he's done up to this point, he almost can't help himself. But that sort of expression comes out without even. It's like he didn't even try.
Do you think this might be his best movie?
I wouldn't say that. I mean, I don't know how you can even say his other movies are what they are. This is what it is, but it's a great. I mean, it's great that it's been received this way, and that it's at his age, our age, this kind of thing, so strong, addressing certain things.
Yeah.
The guys our age, not Ray, he's a kid, but
That's so funny.
So that's that's all something that you want to address, that we wanted to address and deal with, and Zalian did such a great job with the script.
Yeah.
I remember it was my birthday when I met, I think I was in the apartment with you and Marty, and the next day was my birthday. I had to work, and I was turning 60, and I told the guys, and I said, "Oh, tomorrow's my birthday." And they go, "How old are you going to be?" 60. And they both went,
60.
Roles that you've seen Mr. DeNiro play that you've thought, ooh, I would have liked a shot at that.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's very interesting. That's a very interesting question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I don't think I've even asked myself that. But the question is, you don't feel that way. When someone is doing a great performance, you just get inspired by it. And you don't say, if it's not you don't think that way, really. I mean, maybe I'll start thinking that way. Because it's...
yeah. How about you, though?
Well, sometimes you feel Al he was great in Godfather 1 and 2, among many other things. But the thing that, as an actor, kind of going off on what he just said, if you're up for something, and like everybody in New York was up for Godfather 1, but everybody sort of knew that Francis wanted him, and when you see somebody, and I've had this quite a few times as a young actor, you're up for something, you're probably not going to get it. We both said in a couple of interviews, don't ever expect to get it. I tell people my kids or anybody who's interested in my advice, don't expect to get it. Go in with abandon. That way you might get a chance. And the casting director is more important than the director in a sense, because they have other things, projects, and they'll tell another director, that kid was not really perfect for this, but they might be for that, and I would say I'd recommend them. But what I'm trying to say besides that is that if an actor is good in the thing that you've been also trying to get into, then you respect that. You say, at least they're good. You don't get envious of that. They're good. I respect it. That's great.
Right.
When they're not good and they're hired for the wrong reasons, then you get a little like, well... for money, like if they're hired because they're a name, but they're a name that can't deliver.
Right.
Should we go into examples? Or?
I'll go out on a limb and tell if there are actors, young actors especially. I think the older actors know, but I think if they're young actors, let's see, please, when you audition as much as you want, it's great because it gives you a chance to practice. And usually you want to try to do something. But the problem we have today is you have to send in these videos. These kids have to send in videos of themselves. So you don't have the actual room to go in where in front of you is a director and the producers and a few people. So you have an audience and it's live. I remember going in to audition, and I was young. And I'd had an audition, and I would enjoy the auditions because it was an opportunity to work something out. And I'd go in and I would say, from time to time, I read your script, it's very good, but I have a little something prepared. And they would come out with Hamlet or something and do this entire monologue, and they'd just be looking at me at the end of it and say, this is one of the crazy ones, I would say. But the point is, I got a chance to at least express something to an audience, because that's the best thing. But never, like Bob said, never think of just don't think of getting the part. It ain't going to happen.
So when it does...
So, well, it's not even because of that, but it isn't going to happen. If it does happen, yes, of course it's. But then it starts a cycle of things could happen. But the roles. I once went for a role in an off Broadway show, and
That's the one where you have to pay them to put you on.
Of course, yes. Well, we were doing a lot of shows in the village, and we would pass the hat around, the basket around after a show in the cafe theaters in the village and stuff. But I did this show with this. I'm gone now. I just lost my
Train of thought.
My train of thought. I don't know what I was saying, but it was good.
Thank you all very, very much for taking the time to talk to us. And I have so much respect for each one of you guys and the work you do and work you've done. And this was really a pleasure for me.
Thank you. Me too.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.